Woo! I'm back. Feels good to be back in front of the camera. Really excited to talk about this movie. It's honestly one of my favorite movies in recent memory. I've been super hyped about it. Of course, Shang-Chi was the perfect movie for me to come back and review. I'm super excited to talk about it. There was a lot of hype about the movie. I was honestly very nervous for it being the first Asian American lead Marvel movie. I had a lot of hopes, but also a little worried about it. I really wanted it to do well. Admittedly, I knew very little about Shang-Chi going into it. I can't say ahead of time that I was a big fan in the comics. I don't think many people were. To be honest, Shang-Chi was a pretty small character. So when I heard they were making a movie about it in Marvel, I was excited because Marvel has been killing it with all their shows, all their recent movies. So really excited, but I had low expectations for it.
Thank you.
Reading more into it, he actually has quite a lot going for him. You know, he's supposed to be one of the greatest martial artists in the world. A lot of our famous characters have interacted with him, including Wolverine, Captain America. I'm really excited to see what he does in the MCU universe. Having been a big fan of Kim's Convenience, when I heard that Simu was gonna be the lead role in it, I was super excited for him. I also think his overall story of how he kind of got the role or got on the map was super cool. Just shouting out, tweeting at Marvel and basically getting the role from that and being able to audition just because of a tweet. I'm sure there was more that went into it, but it's really cool. You know, it's nice to see that he got heard, and this is a big step for Asian Americans in Hollywood cinema. Here's my shameless plug. Please like this video, and if you could subscribe to my channel, that would really help me out. I want to keep growing this channel, keep making great content for you guys. So if you could do me that favor, I'd really appreciate it.
Who are you?
All right, so let's jump right into it. So, first off, I love the overall vibe of the movie. It was completely different than any other Marvel movie before it. And I really liked the fact that the director was able to incorporate Asian culture and make it feel like an Eastern movie. I grew up watching a lot of martial arts movies. I used to watch Bruce Lee, Jet Li, Jackie Chan. I used to watch every martial arts movie I could. And they were all made, for the most part, in China. And they had a different vibe. The filmmakers focused on different things. Martial arts was taken a lot differently than, for the most part, westernized movies. So it was a huge relief to see that this movie kept a lot of the culture from Chinese film, and it just felt like a completely different style than any other MCU movie or any other action movie with martial artists in it that were filmed in Hollywood. This movie's far from perfect. Admittedly, the story is a little slow at times. It is an origin story of a character that pretty much no one really knows about. So they have to take their time, introduce a lot of new characters. And, you know, when we're used to the fast pace of just finishing Endgame and all this craziness, and then you have characters where, you know, like Spider-Man or Captain America, where we already know kind of the backstory so they can jump in. Well, this isn't the case. We need to take a step back, learn the backstory, get to know this character, and then see what he can do in the future movies. So that slows things down a little bit. It is an origin story, and a lot of people have knocked it for being kind of formulaic, but most of these hero origin stories are somewhat formulaic. It's not so much the story itself that stood out to me with this. It was the overall delivery of it and the package they put it in, which is what I thought was amazing and made this movie truly stand out. I thought the actors did a phenomenal job representing their characters. Tony Leung was an amazing villain. I love the fact that they've added multiple dimensions to his character. It's not just a one-dimensional character trying to take over the world or just trying to, you know, kill everybody or anything like that. You really start to learn what he went through. You understand kind of his thought process, and you start to feel for him. And that makes the villain so much more interesting than a one-dimensional villain that just has one desire and they're just focused on, you know, taking over the world. That's a little bit boring and overused. You really almost forget that he is the bad guy. And I really liked that, taking the time to get to know him. Awkwafina was great. I think she's hilarious, and I really thought that she had great on-screen chemistry with Simu. I also thought there was a couple scenes that really showed her more serious side, and I know that she's been kind of branching out and doing a little bit more serious roles, and I think she is a well-versed actress, and she has a lot of different sides to her, not just her humor. So I really liked that, and I really liked their incorporation of her character into the story. As a big fan of Kim's Convenience, seeing Simu again was awesome. I think he did an amazing job as Shang-Chi. He had the funny side kind of from Jung's side with Kim's Convenience, but then also more serious side. I hadn't really seen him in like an action role, so it was cool to see him do an action part. They spent a lot of time preparing these actors for a martial arts movie. I know a lot of them did not have any martial arts experience, but you can see that they spent a lot of time training them and they really dedicated themselves and their bodies to this movie. One of the biggest things that bothers me with some movies is when they try to hide hand-to-hand combat with shaky camera work or sped up effects so that you can't really see what's happening. You know, granted there was CGI, but they did a lot of up-close combat and they really accentuated the martial arts. I felt like the combat was easy to follow and it wasn't to hide, you know, oh, maybe the actors can't do this. It was a lot more believable. Aside from the martial arts, the rest of the action was also really cool. You can't have an MCU movie without some crazy action. And admittedly, as they're ramping up this universe for more and more powerful beings, incorporating more powerful things is really cool. I had a feeling there was definitely going to be a challenge taking someone like Shang-Chi, who is generally just a martial artist, throwing him into this giant MCU universe where you have aliens and spaceships. And how is he going to fit in? How is he going to contribute to a team where you have someone like Captain Marvel or Scarlet Witch? But they did an amazing job. I really liked the choreography they had with the 10 rings. It seems like quite a formidable weapon that will most likely have a big impact going forward. So I'm really excited to kind of see what they do with that. And it really elevates Shang-Chi as a contributing teammate to the future of, you know, the next Avengers and seeing how he interacts with some of the characters that we already know. I think also this movie kind of opens the doors for more mythical creatures, more mythical powers, which we haven't fully touched. I think the door that martial arts opens and, you know, channeling your chi and all of that energy from the Eastern culture can open up a lot of doors. They've kind of touched on it with Doctor Strange, but I feel like there's a lot more there that they can really incorporate. So hopefully they utilize it well, and I'm really excited to kind of see where they go with it. I know I touched on this before, but again, I think the movie really captured the Asian culture so well, and I really appreciated that. It really did feel like we went somewhere outside of where we're used to, you know, outside the United States. Black Panther took us to this imaginary place, Wakanda, but it really embraced the African culture and it really took us there. We really felt immersed into the African culture, and Shang-Chi did the exact same thing with the Asian culture, the Chinese culture. I really felt like we traveled with the characters into somewhere that we'd never been before, and it felt so different, and it's just expanding this world so much. It's interesting because the MCU is expanding, you know, through galaxies and all of that, but then they remind us of how much is still on Earth and how much different how many different places there are on Earth. There's different realms, there's a lot of mythical things out there that we've just briefly touched the surface of. So I'm really excited to kind of see where it goes. I know Black Panther 2 is coming out. I can't wait to see where Shang-Chi ends up with the team. I can't wait for his next movie. I'm super excited with kind of the doors they've opened with this. So all in all, as you can tell, I really love this movie. I was pleasantly surprised. I had my reservations. I didn't want to get too excited about it, but they definitely delivered. Taking a very unknown character and making such a big movie out of it, and it happening to be an Asian American story, was amazing. And I really can't wait to kind of see where Shang-Chi's future goes and where it ends up and how it incorporates with the MCU. This movie truly gets me excited for the future of the MCU. I'm really excited to see what else they have. Obviously, we're super hyped about Spider-Man, Doctor Strange. They just have so many avenues they can go. Like, my brain can't even comprehend it. So I'm super excited, and I hope you guys are too. Well, thank you guys for hearing me ramble on about this movie. If you guys have not seen it, please go watch it in movie theaters. I think it's quite an experience to see in theaters. If you guys have seen it, please comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And as always, I'd really appreciate a like and subscribe. That's really gonna help me build my channel and continue making great content for you guys. But thanks for stopping by. Have a good day.